Welcome to another episode in the same day. Uh, you left shit out. I'm your host, Compton J. So, I was a little late because I had to change the graphic and the title because Jimmy had dropped a video right before I was just about to go on. I was literally in my garage just sifting, organizing what I was going to say. And then I get the video that or get a notification that Jimmy just dropped the video. Now the reason that matters is because of the video he dropped is also a video with Caleb. Caleb Maupin, who I was going to cover. But this video is a video that's relevant to all of us who view left media. And it's where he's talking about BreadTube. So I'm going to be watching this new, just like you're watching. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm watching it the same time. So I haven't seen it yet. This literally dropped, what, does it even show? How many minutes? Oh, a few minutes ago. I wouldn't even say it's been 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and watch this Jimmy clip together. And it's titled Left-Wing YouTubers Co-opted by Security State. Here we go, people. So left-wing YouTubers co-opted by Security State. That's the title of the video. So let's watch together. Like I said, I haven't seen this video yet, so let's watch.
Go. BreadTube serves imperialism.
Oh, actually, let me rewind. Here we go.
I'm here with Caleb Maupin. He's a widely acclaimed speaker, writer, journalist, and political analyst. He has traveled extensively in the Middle East and Latin America. He was involved with the Occupy Wall Street movement from its early planning stages and has been involved in many struggles for social justice. He is an outspoken advocate of international friendship and cooperation, as well as a 21st century socialism. Please welcome Caleb Maupin. Thanks for being here, Caleb.
Sure.
Now I want to talk about your book here. Here's your book, BreadTube Serves Imperialism. Explain. Now I don't know most of the people in this book. I thought I was going to know everybody. I don't know any of them. So tell people what BreadTube is, and then tell people how they serve imperialism.
Well, I got kind of sucked in. I was asked to debate somebody, and so somebody wanted to debate me about socialism. So I debated this character, Destiny Stephen Bennell, and we had quite an interesting debate about socialism, and it was very odd. And so then from there, I was sucked into this internet subculture, this internet universe that presents itself as left-wing, that presents itself as socialist or Marxist or anarchist, but is really just a way to rile up young people who associate with progressive causes, anti-racism, workers' rights, and get them supporting the U.S. political establishment against the right wing. And so the more I kind of observed this internet subculture, these people are getting hundreds of thousands, millions of views. They're being promoted by the New Yorker magazine, and they're speaking in the name of Marxism and socialism and leftism. But the essence of what they say is that the United States and U.S. imperialism, they are the good guys against, these authoritarian regimes around the world. They're spreading freedom. They say that socialism is just an employee stock ownership program. They don't question the rule of profits. They just want to kind of experiment with worker cooperatives, basically. And it's pretty clear that they are getting propped up by one wing of the establishment. Now, in the book, I go into the evidence of that. But then we have further evidence of that, thanks to...
I'm going to pause it right there because that sounds a lot like Hassan Piker. That sounds a lot like Vosh. Who else kind of preaches socialism? Help me in the comments. I'm going to get to those comments in just a second. But that's crazy. But let's continue with Caleb. Oops, did I click something?
Individual who's tied to military.
Hang on a second. Did I click something?
Confirmed. These folks are basically some kind of psyop.
Okay, hang on a second.
With profits, they just want to kind of experiment with
okay, let's start right there.
Basically. It's pretty clear that they are getting propped up by one wing of the establishment. Now, in the book, I go into the evidence of that. But then we have further evidence of that thanks to the work of Max Blumenthal and the Gray Zone. We now know that one of these voices, Abigail Thorne, was directly being subsidized by the British government, by foundations tied to USAID and to the British royal family and such. So, what I said in the book, based on estimates, right, based on some of the people in the background advising them that I heard about and other things, has now been pretty well confirmed. These folks are basically some kind of psyop to get young people that have socialistic or anti-imperialist instincts and get them to serve the empire.
So you're saying there's evidence to back this up, that there are YouTubers in the political lefty space, and a lot of them. You're saying a lot, not just, but a lot of them, and they're called BreadTube, and you're saying that those people are somehow being co-opted by the intelligence communities to push an agenda?
Sure. I mean, I received quite a bit of information about advising them. They're individual who's tied to military psychiatrists who appeared on CNN, calling for mass deprogramming of the country after January 6th. And there are other things that point to some kind of covert.
Sorry, I didn't know when I put you in. I heard the TV, so I was like, "Oh, should I had not had put him in yet?" But welcome, Nick. Just shouting you out because I didn't know if you were supposed to be in. But.
Yeah, that's my bad. I didn't have my audio set up already, but
yeah.
I was
so you watching?
I was just sitting here chilling. I literally just got home. I was like, shit, I can jump on with CJ today. We didn't do our show Monday, so this should be fun.
Yeah.
And for the title, this should be a good one. I didn't see this.
Like it just came out.
You guys saw.
We saw your interview though.
Yeah. Caleb is great to talk to. Very informative guy. So I'm definitely one I'm kind of chilling watching shit, so.
No, I hear you. I hear you. All right. So let's get back to the video, guys. I'll pop up your comments as we watch the video.
Support the mainstream media highlighting some of these people, celebrating them, and then their foreign policy stances could come directly from CNN. And then we have that great report that was done by the Gray Zone, and that all points to this. But the thing is, there's a precedent for this, right? We often talk about the Congress for Cultural Freedom program, which was in the 1950s. The CIA realized that basically, if they wanted to hurt the left and hurt Marxists, one way to do it was to start funding certain voices. And you had the CIA set up Partisan Review magazine. You had the CIA basically launch a whole program to subsidize left-wing voices that were anti-communist, that were against the Soviet Union, that were against China. And there's a long history of covert manipulation of left-wing voices, kind of presenting left-wing voices that are, in a way, acceptable to the establishment. And it was actually Irving Kristol, who was the director of the Congress for Cultural Freedom program for the CIA. He eventually became considered the ideological father of neoconservatism. But a lot of big names that one associates with the left, like Mary McCarthy, Hannah Arendt, Susan Sontag, they got their start with this CIA-funded publication. So there's a precedent for this kind of behavior. And during the Cold War, this was done, yes.
So this isn't new. In fact, this isn't new that the CIA, the intelligence communities, that they co-opt media and they fund media directly a lot of times and to push an agenda, imperialistic, hegemonic agenda. This is not new. This isn't a crazy conspiracy theory. This has been documented. The Church Committee, that was in the 70s. And can you talk about that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it became revealed in the 1970s with the Church Committee. That was during the presidency of Jimmy Carter. You had a congressional committee that investigated the FBI and CIA, and they revealed a number of things, including Project Mockingbird, which was, the CIA's wing that was handling the media, as well as Project MK Ultra, which was about promoting hallucinogens and drugs on college campuses and into left-wing and radical spaces, and that there was all kinds of foul play. And again, this is documented.
It's
There's
documented.
this whole, yeah, I mean, these are facts. These are historical facts. There are mainstream media articles about it. There are whole academic books that have been published about this kind of thing. And it's so sad that they've cultivated this atmosphere where if anyone says anything like this, they just go, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. That's a conspiracy. No, these are things that are acknowledged from the history. And based on these historical precedents of manipulating activists, manipulating left-wing voices, based on some of the people associated with BreadTube, and now based on that smoking gun we got from Grayson, it's pretty clear what BreadTube is. It's an attempt to control the narrative.
I want to test my audio. Does my audio still sound okay? I saw some people said there was some issue. I just quickly want to chime in because we talk about CIA infiltration tactics now. I'm watching the chat. I want to make sure my audio is still good. But we talk about CIA infiltration tactics. I want you guys to understand that there's 20,000 CIA employees, and that's on the books. And you know how many people they keep off the books? Now, do you guys think that these 20,000 CIA employees are just sitting on their desk doing nothing all day? They're using left infiltration techniques. And I've seen it in real time with Forced to Vote and many of our direct actions that they oppose, right? But I just want to add that quickly. We can go back to video.
I did want to kind of interject something here too, and that is, what about those who may not be, I guess we can make up a term called directly BreadTubers, but what about those who just believe what those BreadTubers are saying, so they just regurgitate it's themselves because they're hearing these BreadTubers say it, and then they go on their show and say it too.
I treat them like MSNBC, so they are victims of propaganda the same way that MSNBC viewers are. Well, I told you guys, I go hard on Biden voters, guys, but I do that because there's always this caveat. And I don't, and sometimes I do acknowledge, I don't, sometimes I underestimate how many people know my caveat that I don't blame people who have like Trump derangement syndrome, who was tricked by the propaganda into voting for Joe Biden over Trump. I go hard at people like Jank, TYT, and the CIA left because I know that they know what Biden's record is, that they know better. They know politics and how politics works. So the same way that MSNBC misleads their audience and turn them to shit libs, that's why you got people that just brainlessly agree with, oh, I guess if we just vote for a Democrat, oh, no, I'm broke, but if I just donate to Nina's campaign, maybe they purposely installing revolutionary indiscipline into people because it helps them in their bottom line. I am beyond giving them benefit of the doubt because it'd be one thing if you're just wrong on one issue. It's not just one issue; it's over and over,
right,
and over again. You see Anna's take on policing. You see Anna's take on homelessness. Like these things are not like accidents, guys. Like
right, because like if you're a leftist, if you're a leftist in that realm, you may not agree on a few things, and it's not complete opposites. It's like, oh, I think it's a little bit different. It's a shade different. Like you're not coming up with completely different non-leftist takes, multiple ones. That's not
over and over again.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence. So this is very interesting what Caleb is talking about here. Did he kind of talk about this on when he was on with you, or this is before his book drop?
Yeah, we were talking about how BreadTube serves imperialism. And when I talked to Caleb, it was perfect timing because that's right when you had a lot of people repeating like CIA talking points on Ukraine. And then he came on, and then right when we talk about BreadTube serves imperialism, that shit popped up. So it's always good good having foreign policy conversation with Caleb. And he when I saw him on Jimmy Dore, like, damn, I can't wait to catch the replay. I couldn't catch it live, but
yeah, I saw it. I saw a little bit of it live before I had to jet out and get my daughter. But and then I saw this drop, and I was like, oh no, I gotta make sure I cover this. But let's get back to see what they're saying. It's only about another 20 minutes. Not sure we're gonna watch all of it, but let's see what points he makes here.
And make sure that people who are interested in socialism and workers' rights and opposing the police state, that they, follow a certain foreign policy agenda. And there's nothing particularly scandalous about this. We should almost expect this kind of behavior. at the end of the day, right? I mean, this is how they work. They try to craft discourse in their own way. What's interesting is that the primary activities of the BreadTube crowd seem to be about getting left-wing voices to kind of, participate in this partisan red state versus blue state fight. And you, Jimmy, have been targeted ridiculously because, oh my
now you
goodness,
know why they hate Caleb. Now you know why.
I didn't know they hated Caleb. I didn't know that.
I mean, when I say they, let me qualify this. Not people that are not serious. People. I remember.
Oh yeah.
On, like this is the whole like progressive BreadTube boutique left sphere day that we talking about. He's like enemy number one. Cal Kalinske like dropped him by name and said he's he had clown. Like Cal Kalinske rarely calls people out by name. Like he called Caleb out by name in his video and was wrong. That's when I brought him on. Like, bro, you want to respond to Cal? Look, I had him right after that happened. And he had a chance to respond on my show because Cal's a coward who name drop people on the show but won't debate them. Cowardly ass shit. But anyway, I had a lot of people that like reach out like, bro, Caleb is fucking right wing fascist. You having this right wing on? And I'm like, bro, what? Like I'm looking at some people reach out like, what? He's a right winger, and I had a conversation with him on my show. He came out on support for reparations. He came out on support for land back. He was tit for tat with me on the left, and I'm like, bro, based on what I heard people say, they was painting this guy as if he was like some sort of right wing Ben Shapiro like character. And then when I interviewed him and I talked to him, I cut off every single person I saw that smeared him because I'm like, you guys completely uncharacteristic. Like the character,
like some leftist people, or do you mean BreadTube smearing them? Some leftist people, some people in our world that call themselves leftists. We don't have to go into names, but
we know.
Oh wow!
I don't want to give.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
I don't want to get them too much air. I don't want to get them too much.
Yeah.
Air.
So, but let's get back to more of the public facing people or names, but this to me is very eye-opening. But let me just kind of move it back to that last line. I'm gonna go back 10 seconds and see
that they follow a certain foreign policy agenda, and there's nothing particularly scandalous about this. We should almost expect this kind of behavior at the end of the day, right? I mean, this is how they work. They try to craft discourse in their own way. What's interesting is that the primary activities of the BreadTube crowd seem to be about getting left-wing voices to kind of, participate in this partisan red state versus blue state fight. And you, Jimmy, have been targeted ridiculously because
that part, getting us to participate online in Twitter. Why aren't you for Ukraine? You're trying to get us in this red blue thing. They're trying to draw us in. Liberals trying to shame us when we don't want to join in with this red blue game kind of stuff. Where are they getting that from, though? From these BreadTubers. So let's play a little more, and then let's play a little more.
Oh my goodness, you interviewed somebody from the Bugaloo Boys. Oh my gosh, right? This cancel culture. Never talk to any Trump supporter. Never talk to anyone on the right. This is a big part of this because they don't want an actual movement of the people from below, where you have people with different perspectives and different ideologies, different religious backgrounds. They don't want that.
What do they always say? Red brown alliance.
Yeah, I immediately acknowledge that as an op. People were so mad at me, but I'm like, bro, how you guys not see that this as a divisive, a tool that the establishment used to divide the workers? Because I also saw who used it. It always was the most boutique liberal motherfuckers like Sam Cedar. Like these motherfuckers love calling people red brown alliance. Meanwhile, you guys are voting for psychopathic war criminals. But they call workers red brown because we get together and talking about healthcare. There's people that are like, you guys are advocating for a red brown when I had Jimmy Dore on. Then we had the general strike zone. People like, what red brown? I'm like, man, you guys are out of your fucking mind. And anyone, if you can't see through this op, I don't want you on the team. Like you are so revolutionary undisciplined, you will hurt us at this point. Stay on the bench, learn some more, do some more reading, follow our lead. I'm not even trying to win you over. I'm trying to get people who they're not brain dead, stuck in the propaganda, right?
Right. So you don't mind critiques of yourself, right? Because I put one up of Nick,
I love
Rome earlier. So I don't know where this comes from, but somebody says this.
Oh, Bernie not a big fan of me. I already know. Bernie's not a big
Okay,
fan.
so I didn't know.
I always see them leave. I mean, I don't. Everyone know how to like me, but I say this before, and I know I got a lot of ego, and I know I'm arrogant. I went through a lot of fucking mental trauma and a lot of depression growing up. Martial arts saved my life. Martial arts gave me value. I learned to love myself after hating myself for a very long time, growing up with a speech impediment, growing up obese, and eventually had to lose a lot of weight. And then I learned, especially being a black man in this country, I'm unapologetically love myself. And if some white people like, oh, this motherfucker is arrogant, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. This is what Muhammad Ali told. Remember what Muhammad Ali said? Muhammad Ali said, these white people are always going to call a black man who loves himself arrogant. They're always going to say he has an ego. And white people, especially ever since I got a platform, that's the number one thing I say here to say. They're like, oh, Nick loves himself. He got an ego. What the fuck is the alternative? You motherfuckers, you guys got depression and shit. I'm sorry, I don't. Like, if you got depression and you upset I don't have it, I apologize for nothing. And this is something I learned through life. I learned this through life, going through trauma. Like, I'm unapologetically love myself. I unapologetically love my family and my community. And if that makes you uncomfortable because Nick has an ego, so be it. That's better than the alternative being one of the motherfuckers like, I'm gonna kill myself. No, that's not me, man. That's not me. And that makes
I don't know if this person is saying that. So let's.
That's definitely what they say. No, this is what they always say. I can find the old clip of Muhammad Ali talking about this. I covered this on my show.
What I'm about to say. I don't know if.
Finish your thought.
Yeah, I don't know if this person is saying what I'm about to say. That's why I want to make sure I'm saying. I'm not saying that this person is saying that, but this is maybe it's not a well-known trope, but it is a trope for Black people. When you're able to articulate yourself, you're called arrogant. Oh, you one of them arrogant Blacks, like because you're knowledgeable, you've read some books, you're able to quote some data. You get what I'm saying? So it's sort of a trope that has been existing for a while. If you knew how to read, for example, back when Black people didn't read, if you knew how to read, so you think you're. It's that sort of level, and I'm not saying that person is saying that. I just want to make sure that's good. Go ahead. Go ahead, Nick.
I want to take this opportunity to share one of my favorite videos. I just found it real quick. I covered this on my show a long time ago. As a martial artist, Muhammad Ali is one of my heroes. I have done. I remember when I was school, I did multiple reports on Ali. I remember the first one I did was like when I was like 6th grade, and I did it over and over again. I know everything about this guy's life, so I learned from him. So this video will also serve a kind of response. I want you guys to hear this. I learned from this motherfucker. So I'll let the video speak first. So let me mute my.
Bothering you. You look so.
I don't like his arrogance. I think
you don't like.
No,
that's because I'm Black.
No, sir, no.
You don't like a nigga talking like this. The white people.
Oh, I beg your pardon. No.
Black people don't cut up what you saying. You man, white people know. Listen, woman, everybody Black watching this show knows why you don't like the way I talk. You don't like a nigga talking to you like this. Niggas never done that like this.
Sir, I know
what it is. Don't tell me what you don't like. You don't know who you're talking to.
What I don't like.
I don't care what you don't like. Just buy a ticket and see me get my butt whooped.
No. Listen, I'm in a minority in this country here.
What's your minority?
I'm from England.
You're a minority. You're from England. You own England and America. You white. You can go to one in the city you want to go. Oh, you from England. You more free than me. You from England. Didn't you say you're a minority? You know you can go to towns, move in neighborhoods. You can buy things over. You can open a business downtown Chicago and do business, and I can't do it. But you from England. Now, you got some nerve to come over and be mad at me because I'm proud and I want to fight and be confident and get my people to be proud and fight and do. We the minority, too. We've been a minority for 400 years, and you freer than me, and you from England. You are freer than me, and everybody know you. How many of you white people here truly believe that she's not as free as me or any Black man? She can open up a shop downtown. He can't even rent a store. You can. Don't compare yourself with no Black man. Okay. You want to talk about You got to be out your mind, lady.
She's a woman, though.
Whatever she is, she's a white woman and she's in a white society. I'm not getting on that. The woman is more free of all black people in Chicago.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I know about it. You're a hypocrite. You think she ain't.
So I want to ask something, guys. This is white women in the 1960s saying that they had it worse than black men in the night. This is not now. It'll be one thing if you say it now. This was in the 1960s. These white women was like, you guys have it. You guys have it easier than we do. White women benefit from white supremacy more than anyone. They benefit from generational wealth. Do they suffer from sexism? Yes. But name a bigger benefactor than white supremacy other than a white woman. But now let's get back to the original point. He said, I'm here to empower my community, which he did. Muhammad Ali was a powerful figure who empowered his community. Now, what am I trying to do? I instill black love to people. That's what I do when I talk to people. Don't let these white people convince you to hate yourself. Don't let these motherfuckers say you got ego. If you do, embrace it. It's better than the alternative. You guys know I make fun of myself for being wrong on many topics back in the past. I learned from my mistakes. This is what you got to do as a martial artist, right? You can't even advance as a martial artist without doing that. So since I know I want to reflect and continue to grow as a person, I don't need to pretend that I hate myself. That is counterproductive. It's counterproductive. Love yourself and continue to. I'm gonna continue to be me. If that turns you off, that's fine. That's fine. That's not the people I'm trying to win over. I'm unapologetically confident. Unapologetically believe what I say and believe what I do. And that came from, once again, years of trauma and depression. And I decided, fuck that shit. I just decided, fuck that. I'd rather do the alternative, right? But anyway, I'll pass it back to CJ.
Yeah, no, that was he was the GOAT.
I covered that video on my channel a long time ago.
But yeah, man,
I kind of derailed it, but that comment, there was a lot to go. There was a lot that I could have went with.
There was a lot in that comment.
And once again, I'm not opposed to taking criticism from reading criticism, because I don't. Once again, if you have the confidence I do, if you have the iron will that I try to have, right, you get criticism like I do all the time, and I'm like, okay, if you're right about me, that is only when it would hurt. If you wrong about me, I'm like, what? Like someone like, oh, Nick is some for a shit lib. I'm like, what? That don't mean nothing to me, because you know he's wrong. But if you said some real criticism that hurt, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just get better, right? Right. As a martial artist, you cannot advance without that mindset. Like, you get your ass beat all the fucking time. I trained Muay Thai for 10, 13 years. I trained with pros. They used to beat my ass. You think I was able to develop without having to reflect and acknowledge my weaknesses and shit? So it doesn't shake me. And there's so many people that hate that shit. They hate the fact that I'm unshakable. Like, they be on Twitter that they hate it. They watch my videos, like that person that you I don't remember their name, but I always see them leave back. Journey, she always leave back comment about me. They hate it. They hate the fact that I refuse to hate myself.
But it's funny. It's funny that people who have critiques like I always ask, like, why do you keep listening? Like, people, this is more all
the time.
Like, why are you here? Like, I don't go to places that I want to hear people, but let's comment what they said in the video, which is she's white and she's a minority. And I think this is kind of a comment on white feminism, white American feminism, which is like,
oh, man, don't get me started, man.
Yeah, the scene just where their struggle is connected to them being a woman, so they see that as a minority. They're not talking about race. They don't see it. You know what I mean? If you feel, based on a conditioning of hundreds of years of white supremacy, that you are the template, you get what I'm saying? That you as a white person is the generic, is the base, and then everybody else is like whoever, you know what I'm saying? If you believe that just through the conditioning of white supremacy, that's not even something they think about. So that's why they can say to them and how they believe they are a minority, that they are a woman, that's the uh, minority. But I think because of that lack of understanding or acknowledging of race is also the blind side or the blind spot they have with acknowledging that Black women can't disconnect race from their gender. So they can't say, oh, we're not going to do your Black issues. What do you mean? I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman. Those issues are connected to me also. And this is the fundamental issue I have with the white American feminism. Did you want to comment on this before I go?
Yeah, I can pass back to you. In order to keep this short, just look up Andrew Davis's critique of white feminism. Pretty much, that's my take. Like, for real, look it up. I have a video. I don't know if I want to play because I'm like, I think this is the right video. Like, there's a video where she goes off on white feminism. Maybe we play it later, but I don't want to derail the conversation too much. So just look up her take on white feminism. She destroys it. She destroys it. And she does it with facts and evidence. And one of the arguments that she makes, and a lot of Black feminists make, and a lot of liberation feminists make, is that a lot of these white feminists, not all of them, a lot of them have served white supremacy. And this is historically true. They talk about this during the women's suffrage movement. There was a discussion where they should include Black women in it, and a lot of them saying they shouldn't. A lot of the people in the white feminist movement, they was actively opposed to the civil rights movement. And they said white people should oppose the civil rights movement because it will actually drain the energy away from the women's suffrage movement. So white feminists, like the Karen, the liberal white feminists, they have always been our enemy. And I'm not talking about the allies. Like, we had Liv on this show. She's a feminist. She's a white feminist, right? Obviously, she's amazing, right? We all know who we're talking about. The person in that video who was trying to say that in the 1960s, white women had it rougher than Black men. That's the white. Remember that message? I'm not gonna show it again. Remember that message that lady sent to me? Call me Uncle Tom. I bet you she probably consider herself a feminist. I'm telling you guys. Ask the experience of a Black man and watch the liberals' talking points shatter. Right? But anyway, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah. Let's listen more to Caleb and Jimmy talk about BreadTubers. So let's get back to the original conversation. So BreadTubers.
Isolate people and make them loyal foot soldiers of one section of the ruling class.
And I think that's what we're here to explicitly derail this plan. Like, I felt like this is part of what we're here for, to explicitly derail, where they're trying to funnel real leftist, real anti-establishment people. And we're here to say, no. None of that. None of that is going to be happening. Sort of like the Marianne Williamson thing that tried to get snuck by. We dropped that, Nick. We dropped that. It took us, we did several videos before anybody else started even covering that. That could have just went under the radar as another, let's funnel some people to the Democratic Party. And then we said, oh, no.
Because a lot of people still buy civility politics. We don't buy that shit. And we straight up like, bro, we're not hating them as people. We're just like, you guys are wrong.
Yeah, we said that. Yeah.
Like, you guys are just wrong. And it was devastating.
Right. It was devastating to that, and I do think we affected that sort of movement of waking people up in that sense. But let's continue with what he's saying here, Caleb. Oops, commercial. Let's go mute. I don't want to have any sort of copyright stuff.
So they did come out. So that's the biggest thing that they seem to want to shut down, is if beating the establishment and the intelligence community, if somebody from the left and the right figure out that they have common enemies that they can work together against, That's what they have to demonize, like they did to me when I interviewed that Boogaloo Boy, which, by the way, people still don't realize it. Boogaloo Boy, 100% different than Proud Boys. Boogaloo Boys are the antidote to Proud Boys. Boogaloo Boys are anti-imperialism, anti-cop, anti-Trump, anti-racist, and pro-LGBTQ and pro-Black Lives Matter. That's what Boogaloo Boys are. But the BreadTube people wanted to manipulate that and distort that into Boogaloo Boys are right-wing racists, just like Trump and Proud Boys, and not.
Wait, so the Boogaloo Boys aren't racist? Nick, see this. Let me just tell you, I don't know a lot about this stuff because I really don't think it's all that important. But I mean, it's important, I guess. But
I remember like, when we were talking about this when the whole Boogaloo Boy discussion was going on, and we both were like, we don't know who the fuck the Boogaloo Boys are. Because I have the KKK. I don't know about you motherfuckers, but I'm in the middle of America.
Skinheads are in California. Skinheads are in California.
It's 2 years ago now. Maybe I got to do an update. 2 years ago, there was a story about a black man who was attacked at a gas station by the Klan. It was a hate attack that was reported. I covered it on my show a long, long time ago. This was about 2 years ago. So this is the reality of what I got to deal with. So when you guys talking about Boogaloo Boy, probably like, what? We got the KKK. I don't know what these other groups are. Like, there's the KKK, and that's what we worry about. But I knew there was other groups. I just didn't know about them. And then I'm like, I didn't know who the Boogaloo Boys was either. And I saw a lot of people smear them. I seen some information that was concerning. But then I got to learn who Magnus was. And then we followed each other on Twitter. We had a few conversations. Like, all right, he was anti-cop. He wants everyone to get health care. He wanted to shrink the military budget. He wanted to get increased workers' wages. He is to you guys left. He is to the left of the people who was criticizing him. So, and I'm like, I'm sure that this guy probably said something that pissed me off before. I'm sure he probably had a bad take, like I have before. But based on what I've seen on the core issues, he is, and it's factually true. He is to the left of anyone who vote for Joe Biden. He is literally to the left of the entire Democratic Party. Period. Like, and once again, that's with all his faults. That's with every fault that you can. Well, he said this. He has this position on that. Well, based on these core issues of policing, healthcare, workers' wages, military-industrial complex, police funding, these alone makes him to his left, to the left of you guys. It makes more sense for me to work with him than you, right? Because we're closer on significant issues.
Right.
That's just my take when I saw it, because I don't just go with groupthink. There are a lot of people who were just going with the groupthink. When they heard, they were like, well, I saw a few things about Boogaloo Boy, but I'm like, okay, I want to know about this guy in particular. I want to know about these people in particular who had this, because they was holding the End of Wars rally. I'm like, that's good. That's good. Like, we don't know.
I don't know any of this stuff.
So anyway, I'm trying to get you up to speed. But
but let's see what she says here. She says Jimmy interviewed a Boogaloo Boy, and apparently that particular chapter wasn't racist. Can't speak to other. They have chapters.
Yeah,
so it's like a fraternity. They have different chapters.
And I think that is what they were saying too, because they're saying the Boogaloo Boys are racist because they did this, and that's true. That's why I said I saw some discerning stuff. But then they said it's based on local chapters, right? The same way you can have a shitty Green Party locally in one area. There are like hardcore turfs or something. Then you can have a good Green Party in one area. Like I know people in the People Party in Kansas City, they're good versus the People Party in some other area. It's based on the area. So based on the people who was holding the End of Wars campaign, the people who was fighting for healthcare, the people who was providing security at Black Lives Matter events, those seem like the good ones. And then there were the other ones who was like hardcore white supremacists that we going to war with. Like, we're not even trying to win those people over. Like, we've been on them literally go.
What is the unifying thing that makes them all Boogaloo Boys? Like, what makes them Boogaloo Boys?
I don't know. See, that's what
I'm asking.
This is where my knowledge starts. This is where my knowledge ceases, because I don't know. This is my question I would have for them though, because I'm like, all right, if you guys are good, why not just disavow and call yourself something? Why still call yourself a Boogaloo Boy? And that's a valid criticism, right? Like, isn't that right?
I guess it's a valid criticism, but what if the people who are racist are the minority? So you're saying they should change?
And bear with me, because I'm thinking this out right now. It'd be like the same thing as people running within the Democratic Party, right? So you're like, oh, I'm a progressive. Okay, why you call yourself a Democrat then? So if you're a Boogaloo boy, and you're like, well, I'm a Boogaloo boy, but I believe all this stuff. Okay, why are you associating with all these crazy races then? Like, you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there are races that are, but you're saying it's just like any place. You're not. So I'm trying to get at is Boogaloo Boy the organization a racist organization? And I guess I'm hearing no, and I'm hearing people say she said different chapter is no.
And plus,
But anyway,
I take everything with a grain of salt when I see liberal smear campaigns, because that, and when you talk to the average liberal, they want you to believe they are 100% racist. And my response to that is, okay, I want to see the evidence, because I have evidence that you motherfuckers are racist because you guys are trying to spam the police that are killing our people. You guys are literally funding ICE more. You guys are literally giving more weapons to Israel so they can kill Palestinians. I have more evidence that the Democratic Party voter is a racist than a Boogaloo boy, as it is right now. If you guys have evidence and you show me evidence that the people are racist, I don't give a fuck about defending them. Okay, I guess they're racist then. But as it is right now, there is more evidence that the Jim Crow Joe voter is more racist than them. You gotta prove otherwise. Right?
The organization is racist. His chapter is not.
Yeah, see, if you're in that chapter, just say
that's weird.
Why not?
That's
why
weird.
not do your own
so,
shit? Like, do your own shit then.
So you could be part of the slave owners organization, but you can have a chapter that's not racist. That's what this comment is saying.
I don't know, man. That don't make sense to me, group, man. I wish if I knew more about the group. We kind of going off what the chat was saying.
Yeah, we're going on topic because I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, I'm just proposing different scenarios, right? So this one scenario is if the Boogaloo Boys is racist, but we know Magnus Group is not racist. Why not just disavow them and do your own shit? Then there's the other scenario where you have they are just lying about the group, and this is kind of what Jimmy believes. This is what Magnus and his crew believe. They said they are just lying about us. So it depends on just what facts you in. Do you think they should just leave, the good Boogaloo Boys should leave, or do you think they're not racist? Let's take that up. What would be the motive behind them lying? The motive would be behind. Then you would ask the question. Well, then that's a good question.
Who does it anger if we label these people racist? Because that's the person we're trying not to get these people to team up with. That will be my question.
You see why? You want to know what I see? I see people say Boogaloo Boys are racist. Then the people who support the Boogaloo Boy, they say no, they're not racist. Then the people who don't like the Boogaloo Boy say, yeah, they are racist. So if for me to take either or side, that's kind of tribal, right? At this point, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna take any of your sides based on what you say. Show me what you do. So, and based on what I've seen, Magnus and his groups provide security at Black Lives Matter protests. They are supporting ending our police state. They are for ending imperialism. So,
do racists want to do this? Do racists support Black Lives Matter? Like, do racists do this now?
That's why it didn't add up to me. I'm like, okay,
this 2022 is some new shit, Nick. This is some new shit over here.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm trying to understand. Maybe we're asking all the wrong questions because I really don't know about the Boogaloo Boys. I don't know who they are. I don't know about them.
I just knew a little bit about the story that I followed, and that's why I was breaking down with you guys. And once again, why would this is the question? If you hate Black people and you hate us, why will you organize with us in order for us to accomplish our goals? I tell you guys, I think liberals are racist. I think the Democratic Party is a racist party because they support the police state that is tear gassing us, which is a war crime. Which is more racist? And you can answer this question even without knowing these people. In this scenario, who's more racist? Maybe the group that has some people that say maybe some bad things every once in a while, but they stand in solidarity with you. They provide security for you. They're anti-imperialist. They're for ending the genocide in Palestine. All this stuff. Or the group that is literally funding the police state more, supporting Jim Crow Joe, literally supporting the wealth transfer from the Black community to the white community that happened under the Democratic Party and Joe Biden. Like, which group is worse? It seems like the KKK, like what's in my community, it seems like that's worse. It seems like the Democrats is worse. So even if the Boogaloo Boys, even if they're bad, it's like, bro, I got way bigger targets, even if they have some fucking bad takes every once in a while. Right.
But this also ties into the BreadTube. This all ties together because the BreadTube has to sell the Boogaloo Boy thing. If this is the strategy, they have to sell that in order for what not to happen? The red brown alliance not
And also,
to happen.
they also did it just as a way to attack Jimmy too. Let's be real, because they just
That's
hate
true.
Jimmy.
So
And
let's read
and
this.
plus, they love the division. Like what we trying to do at RB, and they hate us for it. We want to. I'm like, bro, if we fight for the same cause, man, join our side. They want nothing more than this constant division. They love the red blue shit. They love that 50-50 division. They love the beef between Ben Shapiro fans. Oh, you see the debate between Charlie Kirk and Vosh. You see Hassan Piker had his beef with fucking Dave Rubin. Like, they love that 50-50 shit. We want to end that. We want to have a workers movement.
Yeah, we don't want that no more.
We're not interested in that shit. So anyway, that's my point. That's my guess.
That's a great point. Let's listen to some more from Caleb. Try to get through this a little more.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, my bad.
Jimmy Dore's working with Nazis instead of Jimmy Dore.
I have to restart that. That's why I'm reshare it.
Let's go. There we go.
It works on some people. That certainly isn't helpful, but it's to a point where when people attack me that way, it actually does help me now, because now they see the people who are doing those attacks, and we've explained to them.
So my bad, everybody. Let me rewind it about 45 seconds because he's been talking. I couldn't get the thing right. All right, so
one section of the ruling class.
So they did come out. So that's the biggest thing that they seem to want to shut down, is if meeting the establishment and the intelligence community, if somebody from the left and the right figure out that they have common enemies that they can work together against, that's what they have to demonize, like they did to me when I interviewed that Boogaloo Boy, which, by the way, people still don't realize it. Boogaloo Boy, 100% different than Proud Boys. Boogaloo Boys are the antidote to Proud Boys. Boogaloo Boys are anti-imperialism, anti-cop, anti-Trump, anti-racist, and pro-LGBTQ and pro-Black Lives Matter. That's what Boogaloo Boys are. But the BreadTube people wanted to manipulate that and distort that into Boogaloo Boys are right-wing racists, just like Trump and Proud Boys and Nazis. That's what they wanted people to think, and it's the exact opposite. And that's why I trended on Twitter for 3 days straight one time, was because they have all their bots and everything coming out to try to create a false narrative that Jimmy Dore's working with Nazis, instead of Jimmy Dore is reaching out to working class libertarians who share a lot of the same goals of people on the progressive left, and we share a common enemy. And so they had to try to distort it. It's not, it works on some people. That certainly isn't helpful, but it's to a point where when people attack me that way, it actually does help me now, because now they see the people who are doing those attacks, and we've explained to them who they are, except I didn't know who these people are. Who are the people who are on BreadTube? You mentioned someone named Destiny. I don't know who that is. Who else? But these are popular people.
Sure. Well, this Destiny character, who I guess, he's kind of the kingmaker of BreadTube, if not part of BreadTube himself, right?
Really?
He's a guy from Nebraska who worked at a carpet cleaning company, but figured out a way to start playing video games on the internet full time. And he became kind of famous for playing a video game on the internet, and that was his. That
sounds like Vouch.
And then randomly, around the time Trump got elected, he suddenly started.
Yeah, that's the path for deeply unserious.
He was kind of a right winger himself, a libertarian or something. But then he started debating right wingers and mainstream media.
That's a who? Say that again.
That's the path for all the deeply unserious clout chasing clowns, by the way. They get into gaming first, and they're like, oh yeah, let's get into politics too now. Get some of that Democrat money, right? Get some of that grifter money. So that's
and I got some. We're gonna talk more about that Democrat money when we get to the Nomiki story of when she go on Fox News and she looks like a freaking clown. Like anyway, we're gonna get to that story, and all of these stories are kind of connected. But let's listen more to this and see what else they divulge here.
Media outlets were like heralding him as, oh, this famous internet troll is going to debate the right wing and debate Trump supporters, and he was getting a lot of play that way. And it seemed like that was his new gig, was debating folks. There's this character I almost don't want to say his name, but I think we know him as Vosh. You know, and this character, I mean, his father's a well-connected Hollywood person. You know, he's from Beverly Hills, and he right now is just a cheerleader for the Azov Battalion and the far-right extremist forces in Ukraine. He's gone all.
Nick, was it you I was on the stream with, and I was like, Vosh, do we know? Do we not think that he's one of the alphabet people?
Vosh is hilarious. So
I'm like,
I remember we had a conversation. It wasn't really a debate. It was just us yelling at each other, and everything he said in that conversation aged poorly as fuck. Because you know what we was arguing about? We was arguing about the lesser two evils, and we was arguing about whether leftists should vote for Joe Biden. And he was passionately arguing that leftists should vote for Joe Biden because that can help move the Democratic Party to the left, and it'll be a wasted opportunity. And we got to stop the fascism in the White House. And then he was trying to nail me against the wall because he was like, "You don't know Biden's platform," because he was saying that one of the reasons why we should support Joe Biden is because the progressive platform. You know, he was literally arguing that.
Oh my God.
Like, and he was like, "Do you even know what on the platform?" I was like, "No." And they was like, "Oh, how you gonna say you're not gonna vote some guy you don't know his platform?" And I was like, "You fucking dipshits! I don't know his platform because he's not gonna do none of that shit." And then everyone was like, his fan base was like, "Man, Nick was unhinged because he didn't know his platform." I'm like, bro, if you look at our conversation, everything I said aged great like a motherfucker. And now they all pretend that shit didn't happen because all the motherfuckers used to debate me. They all used to come at me like, "Oh, I'm gonna debate this motherfucker because he actually against voting for Jim Crow Joe." Now all these motherfuckers are silent now. Now that Joe Biden is like the worst president in modern American history. Now the inflation going up, he abandoned all progressive campaign promises. Everyone hates Joe Biden. Now they are pretending that they wasn't passionately going to bat with him. So Vosh is hilarious because I will never let him live that shit down. I asked him directly. I was like, "Do you think black people should vote for their oppressors?" And he said yes. And the second he said that, I'm like, "All right, conversation over." I got exactly what I did exactly what I have. I got this on him forever now.
Did he explain? Did he explain that?
We had that debate, and he chose not to upload it on the channel because I got immediately like 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, what?
I got like 1,000 subscribers, like 10,000 followers on Twitter, and then that's when they like never debate this motherfucker ever again. Because I don't follow the rules. I do admit I kind of fucked up because I was like mad as fuck and I was going ham. But it's not like good debate strategy to like just go that because people were like, "Man, Nick was just unhinged." I'm like, man, if I had to do it all over again, I would be calm and I would just pick them apart. So I do regret that part. I should have calmed down. Like, all right.
Well,
maybe
the vote for oppressor that's a trigger. Vote for your oppressor thing is kind of a trigger there,
yeah, so that's the only thing. So people were like, "Oh, Nick didn't look good at debate because I was angry." And I'm like, "Man, I don't give a fuck about your debate decorum, nigga. I don't give a fuck." So everything I said aged so well. And now they are like Vosh pretends I don't exist anymore. He used to try to call me out all the time. Now he's like done with me. Like, I'm done. I asked him for a rematch. I'm like, all right. I was like, all right, I shouldn't have blown up like that. Cause we did like it was like an angry ass debate, bro. And then I was like, all right, let's do it again. Let's get a moderator, and I'll promise you don't stand a chance. He was like, fuck that shit. Because he already realized he fucked up because he gave me immediately 1,000 subscribers. And that's why you never see these motherfuckers debate me. Never, ever.
Let me go on to the point where you say what did you say? You were debating him, and man, I lost that point.
Something about me.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was
anyway.
It was funny because that's when I realized, like, all right, this split is real because you got these motherfuckers saying black people should vote for their oppressors, which he told me to my face, and then they were saying that, oh, we can push the Democratic Party to the left. They was calling his platform.
Oh, that's the part, the platform part, the platform part. But it speaks to what you said before. Once people understand that these people are bad actors, once you understand that, it's a lot easier to accept what's going on. This is the reason why you don't need to know his platform. Where is it coming from? The Democrats and Joe Biden? I don't need to know the platform because those people aren't going to develop a platform that's going to benefit me materially. So that's the point that I wanted to interject there before we get back to this video, because we do got to get to this Nomiki, this Nomiki video.
All the way in to just, I mean, he wants this war to keep going. He wants Russians to die. He wants a big war between the United States and Russia, and he's made that clear. And again, if you watch his streams, what's kind of amusing is that he's not very familiar with left-wing politics at all. I mean, he is handed lists of quotations, you know, from Lenin, from Marx, and he'll read them off as if that means you should vote for Joe Biden.
So does he call himself a
anarcho-Bionist? He was like, I'm an anarcho-Bionist. So I just see these unserious clowns, man, and I called them
anarcho-Bionist.
Yeah, that's for real shit.
Like an anarchist that supports Biden. Is that what that means? Like an anarchist Biden
that stands him.
God.
I think that
people call that socialism.
He used to do live streams to like get people to phone bank and shit.
And people who follow him call him a socialist, even though he is saying all of this stuff.
Guys, now you guys see why I call out the U.S. left. You guys think this shit is fake. But anyway, well, let me say this. Like, because I have a friend that was like, bro, you realize, because during this whole drama with Vosh, one of my friends like, my son watches Vosh. And you realize that his whole audience is just teenagers. And then I looked in, like, if you look at his followers, all anime profile pictures, they all fucking kids, bro. Because they watch them on Twitch, they watch them play video games. And I looked at the analytics, guys, and this is impressive because this is unlike most YouTube channels. Do you guys know that 20% of our audience is under 30? That's crazy. Only 20%. I can pull it up. I'm not gonna do it. If you guys
I looked at it two days ago, dude. Our biggest thing is like something to 44. I forget where it starts. I think it might be 30 to 44. That's like our biggest chunk of people who watch us.
And it's very varied. It's like literally like 20% each age group.
Yeah,
so
nothing is
every single age group.
Exactly.
And I see
nothing is real. Nothing is like real. Like the biggest one might be like 25%, and then the rest are like 23%, 22%, 20%. They're all pretty close, so it's pretty even. I did see that too a couple of days ago.
And people, and this is well known, and people that knows this, right? And this is why my friends like, bro, my son's watches. His audience is literally just fucking kids that watch them on video games, and this is who he teaches them how to be a shit lib. That's who it is.
The good thing is, hopefully, they'll be able to change the indoctrination because they're still young. But...
And one thing I know, this is for a fact, and then we can move on because I know a lot of activists. Rome knows a lot of activists. I traveled on the Bernie campaign. I met a lot of Bernie people. No one I know knew this motherfucker. Like, I know people from Casey Tenants. I know people from Casey Sunrise. I know Casey People Party people. The people that are actually in the street, no one knows who this motherfucker is. It's literally people that just stay at home and watch people on Twitch. They are not an activist. They don't have an activist base. Look at the people that watch our channel. We got mutual aid activists that watch this shit. We got third-party summits. We got literally labor organizers that watch this show. We know the people that we got. Kareem tells us this all the time. There are PhDs that watch our International Leftist Coalition. Mm-hmm. Like, look at the people that watch us, and look at like the fucking kids that these people attract. That's why I don't see them as a threat. I'm like, oh, you guys are just having a.
Me too.
We can just build a movement while you guys have people just watching you on Twitch. That's it.
Right. They're not doing anything. So I agree. So let's finish this video up here.
It's really kind of pathetic to watch. But one thing that I find to be interesting about all of this, you talk about the importance of people coming together. Mumia Abu-Jamal, that was an important cause in the 90s. This was a Black liberation fighter who was facing the death penalty. And the reason that Mumia Abu-Jamal is still alive, he didn't get the death penalty, he's still in prison, but the reason that the state of Pennsylvania couldn't execute this former Black Panther was because a lot of people of different political views came together to stand against his execution. You had the far left, communists, anarchists, others. You also had Black nationalists, people with the Nation of Islam, Minister Farrakhan. You also had Catholic priests and nuns. The Pope stood against the execution of Mumia. You had Mennonites and Amish people. And in 1995, it was hundreds of thousands of people piled into Philadelphia with one demand: don't execute Mumia Abu-Jamal. And that's why Mumia, this Black revolutionary journalist, wasn't executed, because people came together, overcame their differences. But nowadays, it seems like instead of doing that, we're supposed to engage in this kind of politics where the left talks to their crowd and riles them up and tries to purify them of any deviant thoughts within their own ranks. The right talks to their own crowd and does this, and everyone gets poorer, and the country polarizes politically, and austerity and war march ahead. And this is a setup for disaster. This isn't how serious political organizing works.
I couldn't agree with you more, and that is the biggest threat to them is the populist left, populist right, realizing we have a common enemy, realizing that we can organize together against the establishment, against the oligarchy, to stop war, to stop police brutality, to stop racism. We can do it. There's a lot of things to help, also to help our economy and get a living wage for people. That's the last thing they want. They're now happy that gas prices are so high, so people will be forced to go back to poor-paying jobs. That's the world we're living in. And you're telling me that those people, those pretend. So it seems to me that the BreadTube, the people who say they're progressives or lefties on YouTube, but they're actually just shills for the Democratic Party. That's what I've noticed when I've looked a little into it. It's every time they're like, well, you have to vote for Joe Biden. You have to vote for Hillary Clinton. You have to vote for the squad. You have to vote for Democrats. And Democrats are better than Republicans. And they come up with crazy reasons why the Democrats are better than the Republicans. Meanwhile, more and more people fall into poverty. More and more people go bankrupt. More and more people can't get health care. And we have more and more billions and trillions of dollars for imperialism and wars, while they keep telling you to keep voting for them. I mean, and everybody does that, from Kyle Kalinske to Crystal Ball to, right? I mean, of course, the Young Turks. Would you consider those people BreadTube? Because it seems like they're doing the same thing, telling everybody to keep voting Democrat. And that's so you can go off and have your Marxist theories, and you can criticize Democrats, but you have to, at the end of the day, vote for them. And you can't ever entertain a third party. That's what I see that comes out of BreadTube. Would you consider that?
Sure. Well, it's the same script. They're reading from the same script. There's no question about it. I think BreadTube is more specifically aimed at teenagers, people in their early 20s.
Okay.
And it's got more of a grunge vibe. You know, it's people sitting in their basements streaming. It's documentaries and things that are more alternative looking. It's got that more punk rock alternative aesthetic. But it's the same script that Young Turks is using, the same script that Kyle Kalinske is using, same narrative. What I find interesting is, again, they've gone after you because, oh my gosh, you interviewed a Bugaloo boy, right? But none of this cancel culture ever applies to Joe Biden.
Ever.
You ain't black, author of the crime bill. You just have to vote for him because
he built the cages those kids are in. He's the one who made it so you can't get rid of your medical debt or your student debt and bankrupt you. He made it. He's been the screwer of the American people. He's been why are most of our prisons filled up with black and brown people? Because of Joe Biden. So they'll never cancel him, but they'll try to cancel me when I speak about Joe Biden in an honest way and tell people to stop voting for him.
This is a great point that Nick, by the way, always makes. It's like you're so unserious that I think he called this out on the trucker convoy too, was the last time he called it out. It's like, wait a minute. So you're against the trucker convoy because there's some people in it that is racist. Okay. So tell me how you didn't vote for Joe Biden. Like, it's all about being intellectually consistent. Because you're mad about them being racist, but what about the racist stuff that Joe Biden did? What about the racist stuff that the Democratic Party is doing? So it's okay for you to support them, those races, but these races the worker races are different. That's what you're saying? So I'm kind of paraphrasing the point that Nick was making, and I was trying to do an imitation of him. But yes, let's continue, and then maybe a few more seconds of this.
Sure. And the crazy thing is, there's the narrative that they have is so shallow. It's basically there's this group of bad people called fascists, and they're under every rock and they're hiding behind every tree. Every Trump supporter is a Nazi. Every conservative is a Nazi.
Wow.
And they're not even understanding that fascism, there is a scientific Marxist understanding of it. Read R. Palm Dutt. Read Georgy Dimitrov, right? There is an understanding of where fascism comes from, and it flows from the breakdown of capitalism. It's a system, when you have the capitalist system with profits in command, you inevitably have economic breakdowns, and great leaps in technology lead to greater poverty. And as there's greater poverty in society, one faction of the ruling class wants to lock down society, drive wages down, and reduce living standards, and degrow, which is another big BreadTube theme, degrowth. They want to degrow in order to try and stabilize the capitalist economy. There's a scientific Marxist understanding of what fascism actually is, but in their minds, fascism is a question of good people versus bad people. And if we just drive these bad people out, then everything will be...
That is such another great point. And I noticed this sort of mixing up of definitions of what a fascist is on Twitter, where you'll be called a fascist. It's almost sometimes if you just simply disagree, it's not even an understanding of what fascism is. I think I'll end it on that note, but let me play this last part just to make sure I got that clear what he said.
They have is so shallow. It's basically there's this group of bad people called fascists, and they're under every rock, and they're hiding behind every tree. Every Trump supporter is a Nazi. Every conservative is a Nazi. And they're not even understanding that fascism, there is a scientific Marxist understanding of it. Read R. Palm Dutt, read Georgy Dimitrov, right? There is an understanding of where fascism comes from, and it flows from the breakdown of capitalism. It's a system, when you have the capitalist system with profits in command, you inevitably have economic breakdowns, and, great leaps in technology lead to greater poverty. And as there's greater poverty in society, one faction of the ruling class wants to lock down society, drive wages down, and reduce living standards, and degrow, which is another big BreadTube theme, degrowth. They want to degrow in order to try and stabilize the capitalist economy. There's a scientific Marxist understanding of what fascism actually is, but in their minds, fascism is a question of good people versus bad people. And if we just...
Yes, that's the part I was trying to articulate. It's just simply, oh, he's bad, so he's a fascist. Like, well, if you understood, if you're applying fascism to Donald Trump, that means it's applied to Joe Biden also, like even more. So, any last thoughts on this before we switch up?
Yeah, this is exactly what I've been saying. People have been deeply unserious, and I think it's an op on purpose to get to muddy the waters on the Overton window and what these terms actually mean. So I want you guys to understand, I aggressively and I unapologetically call out right wingers. Okay, I think conservatism mostly is shallow, and I can debunk a lot of the ideology that they hold. But let's define what that is. And like Caleb says, there are a lot of people that say, "Oh, you're a right winger, you're a fascist if you're bad, and if you're good, you're a lefty." That's so unserious. I want to know where you stand on the relationship between the workers and the managerial class. I want to see what's your position on police funding and military funding, right? I want to see how you stand actually on issues like freedom of the speech, right? Reparations. Ending the genocide in Palestine, destroying the ICE camps, right? This is what defines whether you are a left winger or a right winger. And based on based on where I land on economic issues, because I believe you can grow community, I believe we can do a better job than a top-down capitalist system. That is what defines me as a lefty. Me being anti-imperialist, this is what defines me as a lefty. There are a lot of people who are lefties. There are straight up capitalists who are straight up imperialists, and they are purposely confused. You have people who support Cenk Uygur and TYT who will call Jimmy Dore and Caleb Maupin a right winger. Meanwhile, Cenk Uygur is a union busting capitalist. He's a union buster, and he doesn't even hide the fact that he's a capitalist. Like, he says, I'm a capitalist. Jimmy, he left the Super Chat on show helping me debunk capitalism, right? So these people are deeply confused by the Overton window, but I think that's by design, because I told you guys I'm beyond done giving these people the benefit of the doubt. I think they are doing this on purpose. They will call us a right winger. Many people call us right wingers, like on the boot.
Yeah, I've been called that. Yeah, I've been called that.
People love calling us right wingers.
Yeah. Right? How come? No, I got this question. How come the left is more and more sounding like right wingers? You know what my response was? And I would say this because you've been conditioned that anything that goes against the Democratic Party, your cult, is right wing. That's why that to you, you're hearing that because you've been conditioned to believe that's the way it goes. But let's get to the next story.
Yeah.
It might bleed into this story because you could maybe say that this person is actually a bread tuber, or at least hangs around bread tubers. Um, so what Caleb said when you were off, I don't know if you heard, he said that bread tubers are more of the people targeting young people in their teens, like early 20s, and their video games is more grunge, is more like in your house. That's more bread tubers. He said, but he's like, what about, and Nick and Jimmy asked him about these other people, Sam Cedar and TYT. He's like, no, they're using the same tactics. It's just that the term bread tuber more describes people like this, but they're using the same exact tactics as bread tubers. So I think that effectively means we can call them that, Nick. That's all I wanted to just say. Let's get to this Nomiki, I think that's how you say it, Nomiki story. And the title for this segment is Nomiki absolutely, or I don't know what the title, but she humiliates herself on Fox News. I think this is pretty bad. And all to sheep herd for the Democratic Party. She's going on being the face of a terrible party. And it also speaks to the BreadTube part, or at least to the grifter part. Is she not taking stances that a leftist like we would take so that she can be palatable enough to go on corporate media like Fox News? That's always my question. That's also the question we also bring up about Sam Cedar. Is he taking positions because he has an MSNBC contract? So, did you want to say anything before I go ahead and play this video?
Yeah, I haven't seen this video, but Nomiki, once again, she is one of the people. She's part of the Sam Cedar orbit. She loves to call people a right winger, but she is a open and blatant imperialist. She openly talks about how and supported NATO expansion, and she was wrong about Syria.
What?
Advocated regime change in Syria. I got to pull up the receipts on this, but she had horrific take. No, sorry. Let me make sure I get this correct. I'll make sure. I remember she was arguing in favor supporting Obama in Libya regime change, right? I gotta look that up. Let's play the video, but I'm pretty sure she was arguing for one of the Obama regime change wars. And I remember someone did an expose on her, and I think I was talking to one of the people on the Gray Zone. They brought it up when we was on. I interviewed them. And they brought it up. That's why I gotta find the receipt on it. But I'm pretty sure she was like supporting Libya, and she was making an argument for regime change in Libya, and we all know that led to that slave state.
Yeah.
Libya. But so, while we watch the video, I'm gonna see if I can pull the receipt up. I'll retract it if I can't find it because I want to make sure I'm right on it.
Yeah, it's a longer video anyway. Let's see.
Nomiki, I'm going to come to you first and just get your initial thoughts on why you think Democrats in those particularly important categories for voters are leaning back away from your party.
Listen, I mean, this is a very tough economy, but when you look into those numbers in the polls and you dig in a little bit more, you see that a quarter of Americans are blaming the pandemic. Another quarter of Americans are blaming corporate price gouging, like the oil companies who are jacking up gas prices right now for their benefit, and Congress is now investigating.
Does this sound like a leftist? This is a rhetorical question. Does this sound like a leftist talking?
I found it.
She absolutely did not answer that question. She absolutely. So let me take this off and put that up and we'll.
I'm sorry. We don't have to do it right now. I'm just saying, like,
you're just saying for like, okay,
we can do it after this, but there's no way that this is horrific. This is the people who they sit there on the majority report and they gatekeep the left. Like, they would say, and she hates Jimmy, for example. She would say Jimmy's a right winger. She would say anyone associated with Jimmy Orbit is a right winger. Meanwhile, I'm like, bro, you literally work with NATO. I found the receipt. I saw a super chat too. I got it ready, but we can go over through that after this because I haven't seen the video yet. And now that I got the receipt, I can pay attention to it a little bit more. So let's go through it.
Okay, I haven't seen all of it too. I've maybe seen the first 45 seconds. Let's check it out.
From your party.
Listen, I mean, this is a very tough economy, but when you look into those numbers and the polls and you dig in a little bit more, you see that a quarter of Americans are blaming the pandemic. Another quarter of Americans are blaming corporate price gouging, like the oil companies who are jacking up gas prices right now for their benefit, and Congress is now investigating. It is historic that, as we all know, in the midterms, whatever president it is, their party is not doing as well. But if you even see those numbers, it's a statistical tie. So, it's wonky, and
What's
people
she
don't want
doing?
to, polls are polls, and they can.
This was literally a word salad.
What is she doing?
That she didn't answer the question, and she just said a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Yeah, it's wonky. Yeah, the economy's not well, and she's not answering the question at all.
Look at this comment here. I want to bring this comment up real quick. Fox News wants as many people as possible to see Nomiki as representative of the left. I had to bring that up because that's on point. That's exactly what they're doing.
Because they bring her on a lot.
Do you think they will invite us on Fox News, guys? There's
Absolutely
no
not.
way.
Absolutely not.
God damn, they are so good at this, man. Because that was now Nomiki be like, y'all was a leftist that went on Fox News. Now Fox News contend this is the lefty, and now all the boomers that watch Fox News like, yeah, look at these dumbass lefties. This is their leader. Damn, that's a good strategy. That's a good strategy.
Because if she's a lefty, what does that make us? If she's a lefty, that makes us a radical, just off the charts, crazy leftist. Then they're able to label us the crazy left. But let's listen.
I don't know how we even beat that strategy. That's so good.
Feel about things, and obviously, if you really do want to look at the polls, Donald Trump right now is doing his best ever, and it's exactly where Joe Biden.
That's my response. Donald Trump is not president.
Biden is right now at his lowest ever.
Okay, but we don't have Donald Trump. We have one president at a time, and his name is Joe Biden. And on at least half of what you mentioned, he's underwater. The pandemic. Remember, he said he was going to come in and fix it. What was he going to do? Matt, he was going to shut down the virus. That has not happened. But Nomiki, I appreciate your love of history. Matt?
No. If you look at the polls or the crosstabs there, the number one issue is the economy and inflation. And 63% of respondents disapprove of how Biden has handled that. That's not just a red flag. That's a flashing red warning signal. But also, this poll is historic for other reasons. As you saw, the generic ballot there, Republicans lead by 2 points. That's the first time NBC has had a lead for Republicans on that question since September of 2014. Ooh. And later that year, Republicans elected the largest House majority.
Is that what we're in for? The second in history largest Republican majority, or are they going to top it? Because this guy is pretty terrible. So I think they have an actual chance of breaking that record during the Obama administration. Let's play some more. Go ahead.
Nah, this is how you get dismantled by a right-wing goon like this. I'm gonna keep my take short because I got more to add on. But it's like Nomiki Konst is getting dismantled because Nomiki she was so incoherent. Meanwhile, this guy came on with facts that back up his argument in the debate. And I'm gonna explain after we get done with this video how I will handle this and why they will never give me a chance like this, right? Let's go on to this video.
All right, let's listen to some more here.
Majority since the 1920s. That's historic. And if you look, I think Afghanistan proved to be Biden's Katrina moment, where it undermined his argument of competence and the adult in the room, and it exposed him, and it hasn't gotten better for him since.
All right, let's talk money. Biden's approval on the economy also at an all-time low, with just 33% of people approving of its handling by Biden. 38%.
Look at. I'm just gonna pause because I didn't know these numbers. Let me just look at these. Biden's handling approval 33%. What's the blame for inflation?
It's bad. That's horrific.
Jesus Lord.
That is horrific.
Biden's... Look at specifically. Remember how Remember how Miss Konst said, "Oh, 25% of it said that is the pandemic." She was pointing out these numbers here, skipping over the majority right here. 38% says it's Biden.
Oh, Nomiki, what are you doing?
38% says it's Biden.
By the way, I just gotta add that middle part on the what's to blame for inflation. Corporate price increases need to be way
Yes,
higher
that
than
does.
every single fucking thing on that list. By the way, what you guys
Yeah.
doing? Americans are clowns. What are you doing? How is that the lowest one? Corporate price increases is to blame for inflation. They are making record profits.
What do you always say? America is the most propagandized country on the
Yeah.
planet. Americans are the most propagandized people on the planet. That's why. Against their like, I can't imagine somebody saying, "No, I don't want health care for everybody," but somebody will say that on a poll. Just ridiculous. But let's get back to the video before we go on a tangent.
8% blame the president for rising inflation, which hit 7.9% in February. I'll come in reverse order. Matt.
No, again, that's a huge, huge issue. And as you mentioned before, his numbers among Latinos and African Americans is also troublesome. Look, Republicans have been making really quiet gains, steady gains, though, over the last couple of years. Democrats have taken them for granted. They assume that all they care about is either immigration or free stuff, when all they really care about is all what the rest of us care about, which is the economy.
So we have to say something about the whole free stuff thing that he just threw in there, of course, because did you catch that too, Nick?
Yeah, so I'm gonna explain to you guys how I'm gonna handle this, but I'll wait till the video is I'll wait till the video ends.
Okay.
Because I this is super funny, and the fact that Nomiki is getting schooled, like the fact that how you not destroy this guy? This guy is a clown, but he making her look bad. He making her look bad because she looks horrible, and that's unbelievable to me. Once again, I'll get into how I'll handle this. But let's get into. I'll pass it back to you, CJ.
Making sure their streets are safer and their houses are safer and their kids get a quality education. It's not rocket scientists, and it's certainly not pandering.
Nomiki.
Well, I got to hand it to you, Matt. Your jujitsu, your communications jujitsu is amazing. The fact that you mentioned 2014 is the last time Republicans did better. Again, that was a midterm year. This is historic. That is how it works. Everybody knows that, but you do a great job at that. Also, I mean, let's see. I would like to know how much we're losing support among minorities. It's actually quite small. And
what are we doing?
Look at her. Look, that was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. Like, she's just coming back with a tit for tat petty, not making a substantive point. But then look at the point she makes about losing support from people of color. Listen to this.
Actually quite small, and you are gaining a very, very.
That's your point. Is very small.
Also, I mean, let's see. I would like to know how much we're losing support among minorities. It's actually quite small, and you are gaining a very, very, very tiny, almost not even relevant number of minorities.
So the ones that they're gaining, you're no longer relevant when you're gained by the Republican Party.
Oh, we only disenfranchise a little bit of them, CJ. Oh, it's only a little. Oh, just a little bit of people we disenfranchise. Fuck them. Oh, we still got a lot of them tricked. She's so happy.
That's how she looked at it, and she
is so happy about the amount that are still tricked. And then the one who's like us who sees through it, she's like, they disenfranchised. Fuck them, bro. If you think this person is a leftist, you are a clown too. I'm sorry.
Right now, do you think she used the word minorities to refer to people of color because she's on Fox News, or because she still has the old thinking? Because I haven't heard that word used in a while, even on Fox News. I haven't heard it used.
After watching this, like, she is a Republican that trying to imitate what I think leftists would say. So that's why she's being confused, because she's a program Republican. She really believes in that shit, but she's like, all right, what would a leftist say right here?
She doesn't have a good comeback. She doesn't, because she doesn't know. Yeah, so she's probably thinking like, yeah, those some good points in her head. On the other guy, she's probably thinking like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, you hitting it. That's nice. But let's continue.
The left is like, damn, she killing it.
And maybe behind the scenes they know she's conservative. They say, okay, it's time to go. Lights, camera, action. It's time to go.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Because the economy is in this situation because the corporations, the multinational corporations, which fund the lobbies,
you do realize that the price of gas was up by like $1.92 before we got into a situation where we told Russia.
That doesn't change the point, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's not a good comeback.
Mickey, how do you not cut her head off after saying that?
That was easy.
At that point in the interview, I'm slicing her head off for saying something that's stupid. But Nomiki has no idea, because she's like, what will Alexa say right here? Nope. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Stay on script. Stay on script. Pretend I didn't hear that.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead. This
Numbers
is
started
funny.
to really
Yes,
burst.
I'm not blaming Putin.
Okay, but
I
what
blame
about the
Putin
cost
for a
of
lot, but
bread?
what I will
That
blame,
doesn't have anything to do with the oil companies or the big corporations.
it has to do with CEOs price gouging. They're price gouging everywhere to an effect that Congress is now going to investigate it. If the Republican Party is blind to this because they take donations,
My
you got a
favorite
real
part of
problem.
your
Inflation
argument,
is
Nomiki,
price
was
gouging.
arguing how many blacks, Latinos, independents, and women don't like you. It's like that was the argument. It's great to have you both. It's
Oh
really
wow,
good
she
having
threw
you
that
both.
little
She
thing in
got
at the back.
crushed. Hold on. I don't like that lady in the middle. That lady in the middle. See, Nomiki gave her an out because she could have cut her head off before that.
Yeah, she
But
could have.
because Nomiki was so trash, even though the lady in the middle was trash, Nomiki gave her opportunity and she fucked her up. Like that was a KO at the end. Like I don't care what y'all. She killed her at the end.
Yeah,
Like, right at
that
the
was
end.
that was pretty bad. And the thing is, David Dole covers this same video, and he covers it slightly
No.
different. He says,
No way.
Nomiki went on there and crushed the shit.
No way.
I was like,
No.
what the fuck? Yes.
No way.
Yes, he said something like that.
No
And then
way.
I said, you know what? I gotta find this video on Twitter because I was gonna use his video at first to play this, but I was like, nah, I can't listen to his take on it. But
so
the broader point I wanted to make about this is that it's getting harder and harder to even sheepdog for the Democratic Party. She essentially had nothing good to say because there's nothing good to say. She couldn't go on there and say anything about BBB. She couldn't go on there and say anything about extending the child tax credit, about bringing gas down, about anything. She has nothing good to say. So she's going on to be a representative, to be the face, to be the blue side of this red-blue debate and all these segments. And it's so funny how people who watch these segments, Nick, haven't put together that why is it that every segment there's a conservative and a left and a liberal, or in their mind a left view? Why aren't we just having conversations? Every single segment is let's get a left person on, and they're in the Overton Windows left, not real left, and then let's get a conservative on.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up because I actually was going to talk about that. Because the fact that David Doe think, or anyone would think she did a good job here, is beyond absurd. So now there's no way you can call this person a leftist. This is obviously a right winger trying to pretend to be a leftist.
Yeah.
So that's why she got invited on in the first place. This is the point we made in earlier. Because you see how she is willing to play the red-blue game. The fact that she's willing to play this is why she get invited on in the first place, right? So this is what I would do, and I think what any real Marxist would do when approached with this conversation. For one, let's be clear, they wouldn't invite me on in the first place, but they would say, "Oh well, the Democratic Party is screwed. They're losing Black and Latino voters en masse." And then they were like, "What are your thoughts on this? The Republican Party is set to win." And I'm like, "You're goddamn right." And my message is, for the very first time ever since Morning Consult had tracked this poll, 50% of registered voters are now independent. So now they have their platform as a leftist, and now this is exactly why they will never invite us. Because you see how she's playing the game where she has to defend the Democrats? Why are you playing their game? No, I'm not doing that. I acknowledge I have a platform. So while we're talking about this, I'm like, yeah, you are 100% right. Black people, Latino, and the working class feel betrayed by the Democratic Party. This is why we have a massive amount of independence. This is why we got more people that are becoming class conscious. This is why we got more people going on strike. So in response of people being upset with the establishment, you should not vote for the Republican Party because Donald Trump did the same thing as Joe Biden. They literally served the same donors. They literally had the same agenda. They doing the same thing, guys. So what we need to do, we need to form a workers' movement. We need to have a general strike. We need everyone to vote third party. And then at that point, they will cut my mic. You see how Nomiki, this is how she now left this. She used this opportunity to have this sham-ass debate. For what? What are you accomplishing?
Right.
And I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
So this is my question. So let me just go off on a speculative conspiracy theory here based off of both of us believing that she's an actual Republican. So if you just Google her, why is Fox News deciding to bring Nomiki on so many times, even she's here too. Even all these videos have her, even if you don't see her. Why is she on the channel so much when she's not even that popular? Of all the people on TYT, why is that? Look at how many times she's going on there. Why is she being asked to go on this channel so often? But here is David Dole. So I decided to play at least where you can hear him talk about how she's great. You know, let me mute the commercial. Let me mute the commercial.
Fox News
talks about how she's great.
Mickey for exposing the truth. What?
It's funny. That's comical. Oh, let me take it off mute.
Oh, he became a parody
because they take donations.
My favorite part of your argument, Nomiki.
The wonderful Nomiki Konst was on Fox News, where she was interrupted twice while discussing the power of.
She was interrupted. She didn't have nothing to say.
So there's a lot more to this clip. I'm going to correct some of the misinformation coming from the other guest after this clip. But first here, look, I watched the entire segment. It's about 4 minutes long. The only time Harris Faulkner, Fox News host here, the only time she interrupted is while Nomiki was talking about the power of corporations over politics. Check this out.
Biden's approval on the economy also at
so instead of addressing how terrible Nomiki was, let's bring up the point that Ms. Faulkner interrupts. And she does. I did notice she interrupts her at pivotal points when she's about to say something she doesn't want to say.
He also knows that David Doe doesn't care about the part about black people and Latinos leaving the party. He doesn't even bring that part up. You notice that? You guys seen that? I don't give a fuck about that.
Because they're not watching him. Because we're not watching him. That's why.
Only time she interrupted is while Nomiki was talking about the power of corporations over politics. Check this out.
Biden's approval on the economy also at an all-time low, with just 33% of people approving of its handling by Biden. 38% blame the president for rising inflation, which hit 7.9% in February. I'll come in reverse order. Matt.
I didn't want to watch this.
No, again, that's a huge.
Let me skip
tiny,
over.
almost not even relevant number of minority support. You know, let's go back to your numbers, which is important because the economy is in this situation because the corporations, the multinational corporations, which fund the lobbies,
you do
which
realize
fund your
that the price of gas was up by like $1.92 before we got into a situation where we told Russia we wouldn't buy any more oil and the numbers started to really burst.
I'm not blaming Putin.
Okay, but what about the
Putin
cost of bread?
What I will blame,
that doesn't have anything to do with the oil companies or the big corporations.
It has to do with CEOs price gouging. They're price gouging everywhere to an effect that Congress is now going to investigate it. If the Republican Party is blind to this because they take donations,
my favorite part of your argument, Nomiki, was arguing how many blacks, Latinos, independents, and women don't like you.
Wow.
It's like that was the argument.
I don't get where that came from. Is she known for not having blacks and Latinos like her? That was a weird comment. Weirdly placed comment.
Yeah, she got called out because she's like, "Oh, that was an obvious deflection." Like that's an obvious deflection, and your answer doesn't even support the thesis that you're arguing for. That somehow people should support the Democrat Party. If you're calling out corporate greed, why are you funneling people to the Democratic Party? You dumb motherfucker. You see the
it's so ridiculous.
And David Doe is such a dipshit. He doesn't even understand this hypocrisy. He is such a
and I think he was about to make this point. I think he makes. Let's see what he says because I haven't seen this video.
Harris Faulkner only interrupted twice. Once when Nomiki was talking about how gas companies are gouging people, which they are. I will show you that, the proof of that in a second here. But also when she was talking about the power of corporate donations. And then, you know, both times Harris Faulkner tries to redirect the conversation to something else.
Like he's trying to paint to his audience, see what Fox is doing? Interrupting her when she wants to make this critique about corporations. As if she's not in the same boat. As if the Democrats don't take the same sort of money. Go ahead, Nick.
No, you made the point exactly because the topic is why is the Democrats losing votes? So then you bring up something that the Democratic Party is complicit with. You're like, oh well, this is why we gotta tackle these issues. Okay, what that had to do with the fucking argument that you guys won't be arguing? So then what's your solution to this? Oh, we gotta vote for the Democrats harder. What?
That's his solution, though.
Else. It it's truly incredible just to see right in your face Fox News there defending fossil fuel companies price gouging you. So
What did he just describe? What where did that come from? You see how he's pivoting the audience? That's what I'm going to point out. He's pivoting his audience away from the terrible numbers in the video. He's pivoting his audience away from the terrible performance of Nomiki. He's pivoting his audience right there, interjecting something that they will be very emotional. Look how they're shielding for fossil fuels. Now, what you're not going to think about those awful numbers that was listed on there. This goes back to the BreadTube stuff. They're using the same sort of tactics, right? But yeah, go ahead.
You see another tactic he did? You see how they separate corporate greed from the Democratic Party?
Right.
So they arguing about Republican Party versus Democratic Party. So they say, oh, well, Nomiki Konst made this good point about corporate greed. Okay, the point she made is irrelevant because you guys are claiming that this point that they're making against corporate greed is why people should be supporting the Democrats. And this doesn't make sense at face value, but they know this. They are propagandists. Their job is to convince you that the Democratic Party is the less corporate party. They are the lesser of two evils, and that doesn't make sense at face value. When you look at Biden's record and his resume, he was literally known as a senator from the credit card companies, wrote the bankruptcy bill that destroyed the working class, literally built the prison industrial complex as we know it. The idea that he's different from corporate America when he was literally a shill for payday low scam artists and credit card companies in Wall Street is absurd, and that's the argument they are making. Why didn't you say that? Why didn't you say that in this video, David Doe? He didn't say that. Why didn't the Nomiki Konst and this is also like this is what you say when approached by this stupid lady who's trying to pin you against the wall because Nomiki Konst is getting pinned against the wall because she's trying to paint the inflation problem against the Democratic Party and she didn't know how to deal with it. All you have to do is say, okay, fuck the Democratic Party then. I support a third party. And you got this giant platform. You don't give a fuck about the argument. You be like, all right, let's take this time to mobilize a third party because you guys see how Joe Biden is failing you. The same way that Donald Trump failed you. The same way he didn't give you health care. Trump supporters. Remember when he said he's going to cover you with health care? He didn't do that. Remember when he said he's going to take on Saudi Arabia? Then
right.
Their money?
Right.
Then
that's what a leftist would have said.
Yeah, you pulled people away from the duopoly at that time. And then she was like, no, I'm going to defend the two-party duopoly. You take the time to call for a general strike. And you were like, yeah, why you interrupt? If she interrupt you, okay, let her finish. She's going to make a point like, yo, the American people been hurt by the gas prices. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. So what is the response the workers should have? We should start a general strike. Imagine the panic that will be on her mind and on her face when someone called for a general strike. And then they were like, whoa. I'm like, what? No, you just said that Americans are struggling, right? You just said that Biden and the government is failing people. So why aren't you for a strike? Then they will be forced to defend why we shouldn't have a strike. You see how a leftist takes over and dominates that conversation? Meanwhile, Nomiki Konst was lost.
Because the other guy made all the points that she wanted to make, but she realized, wait a minute, I have blue on today. I better do something. I better do something different. But let's look at something else here. I want to point out. Let's go to where is he? Right here. Let's see. You follow him. Let's see what sort of hard hitting coverage he's doing here. Can everybody see that? You see all the videos? Let's see. Katie Porter does again. Talking about Katie Porter. Fox News, because that's the one we just saw. Hannity clashes with Tulsi Gabbard over Russia. Will Smith slaps. Pelosi backs Trump. Democrat. Trump again. Surprising poll. Supreme Court. Another impeach. Ilhan says impeach somebody. Putin compares themselves. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for anything. Right.
So David, do you know there's a war going on? Do you know
that is what I am trying to get to. That is what so you got there already.
Sorry,
you got
man.
there. No, that's good. That's good that you got there. I'm trying to point out, let's see what type of content is here.
Literally
Now
7 days and no coverage on no genocides that Biden is funding. Nothing on Ukraine. We did multiple streams and we did so much coverage on this. It's 7 days, and I would love to keep scrolling down eventually, but there's no fucking foreign policy coverage. There's no police violence. What the police violence? We cover this shit all the time. Oh, this dude.
look at this. Now
This
I used to watch his stuff before he got big, when he didn't make all Trump, and then what he did, because I discovered I looked at when I found this and I went back and I said it was about 8 months ago. He did a Trump video, used the same picture styling. It went viral and he gained followers, and he said, "Oh," and then he started doing it over and over and over and over and over. And now it just every single day is complete. This is Trump. This when I brought this up, Nick, on a stream, I'm like, this is what Trump derangement syndrome looks like.
Yep.
Look at this. Are you kidding me?
No coverage about kids in cages, by the way.
Look,
kids in cages right now. But he worried about what Trump is doing. Every fucking video, everyone. I thought we were gonna see at least one exception.
This one, no, this one. This is the order of the video. Look, it's every video. This
bro,
is why I said this.
The only one that's not Trump is about his daughter, bro. This is literally psychopathic shit.
It's always, but it's look at all the views. It's 100,000, 200,000, 150.
Crazy.
It's insane. The propaganda. Look how many videos, Nick. This is not. I'm scrolling. How many rows? This got to be 20 rows already.
This is what the syndrome look like, guys. Like the holy shit.
Insane. It's insane. That's at least 30 rolls of videos, and I stopped. I didn't even keep going. But I'm trying to point out that let's go to the majority report here. Now they do a little bit better. At least they may not be talking seriously about a topic, but at least they'll interject it in their bullshit conversation. You get what I'm saying? So let's see how they do on their videos here. 1.17 million. Can you imagine what we could do with the community, for the community, with that amount of subscribers? Could you imagine what we're be organizing with that type of subscribership? But let's look. Demented Republican interrogates. Okay. Trump begs Putin to attack. There's another Katie Porter.
Katie Porter.
Right. That's the joke. A GOP saves the children panic. AOC and Porter push for something. Jordan Peterson starts to cry. That video gets the most views. And I'm not even looking at the views here. Okay. 63,000. Then they do the Mulvaney is now a CNN hire. It's a blue-red game. I'm trying to get you to see it's all blue-red. Then you have conservative stuff, right? Madison. There's another one that jumps. He jumps.
Video. I was like, when did the video that come up?
Exactly. And then funny or furry plot against American exposed. And then you got a Joe Manchin story. Then you got he's using Jimmy Dore, this is his most views besides that other video. Look at that. Most views when he talks about Jimmy, talking about that. Right?
January 6th.
I'm just
January
saying,
6th.
like, what do we have here? What do we have here?
As if genocide is not being happening, as if the police is not expanding. We got a class war going on right now. Like, you guys understand, the reason why we have super long streams, me and Zoya did like 3 hours last night, because I literally struggle figuring out how to fit and cover all the things I want to cover in like an hour. Like, I cover police brutality, foreign policy, all this stuff. They got the giant audience, and it's just fucking nonsense. No labor struggle, no Marxist theory at all. No revolutionary discipline being instilled in any of these videos. Anyway, this is why we needed a new to step up, because it was infuriating, and I'm glad people know now. But it was infuriating people thinking that these people are actually like socialists and people are actually leftists and stuff.
Yeah, and so the other, like, actually, let's go to the I like to end the streams because it's getting close. It's not completely to the end yet, Nick, but I want to end with this more funnier story. So Case Study QB put out some footage from The View, and let's listen to how they talk about progressives. let's listen to how they talk about progressives on The View. Now, progressives supposed to be part of the team. So let's go. It's so weird how progressives want to stay with the Democratic Party and they push you there, but leftists are treated like shit. That's so weird to me. Like, for example, how Nina Turner was treated, but she still wants to go join them. Like, it's so weird to me that leftists, some people who call themselves leftists, want to do that. But here is the last video. It is broken up into, I think, 2 that case study has here, but this is the first one. Let's listen here.
We're talking about
Shit.
Congresswoman
Loud as
Ocasio-Cortez.
fuck.
I just wanted to say, what I would like to see is I would like to see all those Congress people and Senate people. I'd like to see some folks cheerleading what he's doing, because in all of the stuff that you want to get done and all the stuff he's been trying to get done, I mean, we all got a list. We all got lists, and we all got priorities.
That didn't happen. That should have happened in the fall.
Yeah.
Joe Biden.
So Whoopi is starting this off by basically saying, yeah, all the stuff he did, some good stuff, and yeah, we all got a list of things he didn't get done. Does your list include not being evicted? Does your list include being able to be paid at a living wage so you can pay bills? Does your list include not bombing Palestinian kids? You get to see how your list is not the same rich person. Like, it's so ridiculous. But let's replay. Rome is calling right here.
We're talking about Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. I just wanted to say, what I would like to see is I would like to see all those Congress people and Senate people. I'd like to see some folks cheerleading what he's doing, because in all of the stuff that you want to get done and all the stuff he's been trying to get done, I mean, we all got a list. We all got lists, and we all got priorities.
That didn't happen. That should have happened in the fall.
Yeah.
Joe Biden getting infrastructure passed was a huge achievement. That's something that the Congress has not been able to do for years. It became a running joke.
All got lists, and we all got lists, and we all got priorities.
That didn't happen. That should have happened in the fall.
Yeah.
Joe Biden getting infrastructure passed was a huge achievement. That's something that the Congress has not been able to do for years. It became a running joke with the Trump administration. Every week was infrastructure week, and it never happened. Joe Biden got that done with bipartisan support.
Yes.
So I rewinded it because Rome is called, so I wasn't paying attention. So, but anyway, so let's set the scene for those that don't watch The View. I don't watch it particularly, but I do know that this person here is a Republican. So she's a Republican. So understand that. I mean, all of them can be considered Republicans, but at least she's the one who's openly saying, I am a Republican. So everything she's saying. So when she says Joe Biden got this done, bipartisan, all this, stuff, understand it's from a Republican point of view. And let's play it.
19 senators, including Mitch McConnell, voted for that. But unfortunately, the political capital he built up was destroyed by the progressives whining about Build Back Better and not being able to get it together. That is absolutely what happened.
That's not what happened.
That was at a time where they needed Democratic unity.
That is not what happened.
And it allowed people to show them that they were arguing within each other.
What happened? The difference between the Democrats and Republicans is the Republican Party, not just the nutsos. And you know who they are.
Yeah,
most of them in the party are afraid of the Trump base. The Democrats are not afraid of the Democratic base, and they should be. They should be. Because I am in the Democratic base. I consider myself a liberal Democrat. And I'm annoyed with the way they're behaving. They should be scared of me.
Are you going to stay home, though? Are you not going to vote?
I'm not saying whether
I'm just saying.
She's making a point that you going to go vote for them. You ain't going to do shit.
She just got this.
She was making that point. Go ahead, Nick.
I did not expect. She just got dismantled just like that. What I told you guys to tell these people. Are you gonna
not vote for them in the fall though?
These motherfuckers always said that Ted Uger and Joy Behar. These motherfuckers was like, man, I'm So tired of Democrats, man. They always play. Are you gonna vote for him? Yes, sir. That was so funny, man. I'm sorry, but go ahead, CJ. That was so funny.
All right, let's continue. It's a little more, a couple more minutes of it.
The point is,
I'm not giving that away.
The difference is that they need to demonstrate that, okay, if you're upset that you didn't get Build Back Better at a $6 billion price tag, which was untenable, then what are the alternatives? The alternative is you compromise and we get some things done, or the alternative is Republicans come back into power and you have the extremists that want to, penalize teachers.
Kill the environment,
and
roll back Roe v.
You
Wade.
see what they're doing here, Nick? So I don't watch The View all the time, but
Bro,
this
I
is
never did.
basically
It's so-
this is
so
basically a
clown.
time for them to. This is basically a time for them to tell people why the fearmonger again, to say yes, they are terrible. Yes, they aren't doing much, but we're all just going to end up voting for them anyway. And let's tell you why it's so important. We got to keep doing that, even though they're not doing nothing. That's essentially what The View is doing here. Your take?
This is the only time I see The View is whenever I see clips on Twitter and there's like some leftist dunking on it, so I watch it. So my sample size is usually horrible, but whenever I see it, I'm like, man, no wonder why Americans walk around like propagandized zombies. And I'm talking about the one who watched like cable news, right? Because studies show that people who watch this shit, they are less informed than people who just don't watch it at all, right? Now I want to get to another point. Because you covered a lot of great things, so I'm gonna take it in another direction to show you guys why I deeply oppose these liberals and why Whoopi Goldberg is so dangerous and she is as evil as it gets. I remember seeing clips from The View during the Trump era where they was really concerned about the kids in cages. That was the moral dilemma of a lifetime to them. Trump was extremely deplorable. Because when you ask liberals, like, other than the mean trees, like, what is it that really separates? It was like, it's the kids in cages. And I remember I used to see it on The View. They used to pretend they used to care about that. And now, Whoopi Goldberg is fiercely defending and saying, oh, well, we need people to the other lady, like, we need people to speak out about Biden's achievement. Whoopi is decrying progressives, right? I mean, you got all this shit going on. And then people used to pretend about all the problems that Joe Biden used to cause, and now they cheerleading for him. They're trying to make an argument about whether, the Joe Biden accomplishing his goals and agenda. That is not the conversation. At this point, it's not about whether Joe Biden is accomplishing his goals. It's why is Joe Biden doubling down on every single Trump policy. And you notice how that never got brought up? ICE is being funded more. But Biden proposed an ICE increase that was more than Donald Trump's. He's sending more weapons to Israel. He's funding the military more. So you notice how, and this is by design, we all know this shit never gets brought up. It doesn't in the red-blue game. Didn't get brought up when Mickey Konst was on Fox News. Doesn't get brought up on The View. Because they are designed to misinform you and have you chasing a carrot that is not even relevant. Because if I'm debating about Joe Biden's performance, I'm not talking about his agenda. I'm not talking about Joe Manchin. I ain't talking about progressives. Nothing in the legislative branch is relevant when you look at the crimes he has committed. He is starving Afghan people. 13,000 infant kids have died. This is why you never see me on Fox News or The View. Imagine what would their response be when I bring that up? Cut to the commercial. Never invite him on again. We're not going to air that episode. They don't do live, actually. They don't do live, so they're going to be like, yeah.
They'll be like, we're having some technical difficulties here. We're having some technical difficulties. It would never get out. It would never get out, and it's disturbing. But let's bring her back in. Let's let them finish out this clip, and we'll finish up the episode in just a few.
Anyway,
But look,
get rid of
this is why
Wait,
AOC was right. This is why AOC was right. When Build Back Better and the infrastructure bill came to be passed, they were linked, right? They were linked. And the progressives gave up, and there were 100 of them, right? They gave up their leverage to make sure that the infrastructure bill would pass. What Biden said was, I can get Manchin's vote. Let's delink these and there won't be a problem. I can get the vote. What did Manchin do? Manchin reneged on that negotiation and said he was a no on Build Back Better. What Build Back Better, that framework included things like childcare, universal preschool, paid family, and
you see how they give the top line name of the category without telling how much has been scaled back, without telling much how it's been means tested. You just say child tax credit, pre-K. You go, wow, that sounds good. Oh, you won't qualify. Don't worry about that. You won't qualify for it.
That's a great point. But you also,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a great point. I also want to add to that point. You notice how whenever they're bringing these things up, they're not talking about the problem that needs to be solved. So they were like, oh, the Democrat Party passed a child tax credit. Instead of bringing that up, why not talk about child poverty? Is this fixing child poverty? No. Oh, they passed a 1.9 or wherever it is infrastructure bill. Okay, what is the goal of that? And Biden said the goal is to fight climate change. That is not enough to address the goal, and that's that's to add to your good point. They do that on purpose. You see, they bring up all these things without any context. The goal of this is to address climate change and create infrastructure to do that. That's what Biden said. He said this is the climate plan. When pushed on the Green New Deal and why he doesn't support it, he literally said, I covered this on my old show. He said the reason why he's not supporting the Green New Deal because he said he's going to include his climate plan into infrastructure. So that was his climate plan. So you see how they don't bring that up? They just bring up this random number that has no context. Is that number enough to address the climate crisis like his goal is? Nope.
I mean, the total bill is not enough to address it, and the climate part of the bill is not even the total bill, and that's what I mean by they just. So what do liberals say? Oh, he's working on climate change. He's doing this. He's doing that. Do you know the details of that? Like they can barely. You get what I'm saying? It's like if you give somebody some crumbs. If Joe Biden gives you 3 crumbs, you know what liberals can say? He fed you, but he gave you crumbs. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's all in the description. It's like, yeah, it's technically accurate, but it's almost technically not accurate.
And medical leave, they can pay for it. They pay for infrastructure, and this country pays for so many things, Tara. This country pays for wars. This country gives tax breaks to the rich. This country has money for everything except for poor people and except for education. And except for health. This country, that's not how it works.
Is it over yet? Are we done talking politics? Can we get back to my tea? Can we get back to my margarita here? Break time. It's all just a discussion to them. This is not real people's lives. It's all a strategy. It's all like a game.
You see
know
how
what I mean? Like,
go ahead.
No.
I was just saying, you want to see how confused they are? Because you saw how she was trying to pretend to sound like a progressive at the end. Well, she's like, well, you get tax cuts for the rich. That's going on right now. You got corporate bailouts going on. Okay. Which one of these things are addressed in Joe Biden's agenda that you're promoting? These are 2 contradictory things. You see how they were just talking about Biden's agenda and how great that is for people. And then she brings up, oh, what about corporate greed, corporate bailout? I'm like, what did these 2 things? What did Biden do to address those things? He gave corporations bailouts. Like, he continued to funneling money to the top 1%. He's continuing. He's literally waging a class war he cut unemployment, and we covered this during the Applebee's CEO story. They was able to lower people's wages because they relied on the government cutting people unemployment. So Biden is literally helping the ruling class wage their class war by lowering the negotiation power of the workers. That is what he's doing. You guys see, there's no way any sort of conversation like this will ever be happening on Fox News or The View, which is why we had to go on YouTube.
Yeah, I just think that people, when this time in our history, when we're all dead and gone, like everybody here is gone, people are going to be reading like, people put up with this stuff? Like, they're going to be reading about this like, wait a minute, there was a pandemic and 1 million people died and they didn't give them emergency health care? People are going to be reading that. Like my kids, they're going to be like, what the fuck was going on back then?
You ever see how they write about the Romans? Like, whenever I see how people write about the Romans, I'm like, how you guys cannot see this happening right now? Like, I see historians, and I wonder what is the percentage of these historians? Because I told you guys, I love history. I read a lot of history, right? And especially like the fall of the Roman Empire. These historians will describe pretty much what's going on in America perfectly. They will say the Roman Empire fell because they overextended their empire on military campaigns. And then they said they also was riddled with corruption. And then they stopped taking care of the people, and then poverty worsened, which led to extremist ideology, which started to tear the empire from the inside. And this is a very short, like, a synopsis of how historians explain how the Roman Empire fell, right? And I'm like, bro, how do you not see what's going on right now? This literally mirrors what's happening. And that's why you learn history, because history already repeats itself.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like people are realizing that we are living in a time that they're gonna write about, like they write about the civil rights era. Like they're gonna write about this and what we're doing and how silly we are with our reaction and why did we rise up. But we have come to the end of this stream. I gotta be leaving in about 10 minutes to pick up my daughter from school. So Nick, what do you have coming up? Tell everybody when the next time they're gonna see you on the stream.
Yeah, I think we're gonna. I'm gonna get Peter and Kareem. I think we're gonna do a stream tomorrow night. We're trying to plan something right now. Other than that, we're gonna. I'll have my Saturday stream. I'm gonna do as well. I think Zoya gonna join me as well. So yeah, we upload every day. That's one thing I say. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and check us out.
Yeah, and don't forget, we're almost at 15K. I'll do a check now. I checked before, and I announced it before I went live. Let's see where we're at now. We're at 14,731. So 14,731 is what we're at now. So make sure you help us out. 731. It's still very possible for us to make it to 15,000.
Late game surge.
Yeah, it's still possible. We got all today, we got tomorrow, and technically we got Friday too, because Friday is the first. We can still meet it on the first. So if you're watching right now, like it. If you've already subscribed, that'll help this get to somebody else's eyes that could possibly subscribe. If you're already subscribed, make sure you double check to make sure YouTube has not unsubscribed you. If you're both, then share this video, share the stream, share the channel, tell somebody about us, have them join. But liking the stream is a good first step. Thank you for those who watched us on Rockfin. Thank you for those watching on Twitter. Also, one other thing. So I'll be back here tomorrow. Thursday, we have the roundtable. Friday, Sabby. Saturday, Nick. Sunday, JB. And then we'll be back here on Monday. We are planning an international anti-imperialist summit. That's going to be April 29th through May 1st. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's going to be great. Like what we're trying to put together for this, the academics, the activists, international academics, international. Again, for everybody from all points of the world to come get on here and say, yeah, this shit is fucked up over here too. Just to have that sort of like, just like, yeah, it's pretty bad over here. Yeah, it's pretty bad over here. This is what's happening over here. For us to have that sort of solidarity internationally is a good beginning to all of this, to this movement. So that's all I got. Any last words, Nick, before I hit the...
All good. Make sure you guys support us on Patreon if you enjoy this content.
Yeah, and that's patreon.com/revolutionary blackout. That's literally all it is. And just like with every stream or most of my streams, I'm gonna leave you with a video. Always, not always, but I always like to have a lot of Malcolm X videos at the end of these streams. Not coming back after the video, so we're gonna leave you with the stream. Thank you for watching, and till next time, I'm gonna leave you with this video. Malcolm X.
The same Negroes tried to stop the work at the Downstate Medical Center in Brooklyn, which is predominantly white. They were out there for 3 months during the summer, couldn't stop anything, and I never saw Herbert Hill out there one time. Now, whenever it takes a stoppage of something that's going to affect the white man, you find the white liberal absent. But when it involves something that primarily will affect the best interests of black people and black people only, then that white liberal is present. Herbert Hill is the labor secretary for the NAACP. And if he was interested in black people, he would prepare a black man with the type of knowledge and understanding of the labor troubles involving black people that would enable a black man to sit in the same position as Secretary of Labor or Labor Secretary in the NAACP. I'm suspicious of whites who join Negroes and always have to be in the lead, who always have to be the head, who always have to be at the top in Negro organizations. Those whites who really have the interest of blacks at heart, let them give some advice to some Negroes and stand on the sideline. But don't join the organization and then get at the head of it and pose as a friend of Negroes.
Well, I would defend his sincerity and his commitment. And more than that, I would say that just because a person is a Negro or a black American does not mean that he's going to struggle for Negro rights or for jobs for Negroes or anything else. I think that today you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has been betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
Minister Malcolm, I'd like to, well, I could cite one example would be Congressman Dawson, for example, in Chicago. In Chicago, a large number of liberals located in the Hyde Park district have consistently fought Dawson and his betrayals of the Negro, and they've also fought some of the people who represent Dawson on the Chicago City Council.